I'm really excited to be here and be a part of this project today, where we are commemorating the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I think that when I hear Dr. King's name, a quote that always sticks out to me, and one that I think it's frequented when we talk about him, is that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So when we talk about Dr. King, this quote gets referenced a lot, and it gets referenced as a call for us to love one another. And it gets referenced to suggest that love will always overcome hatred. It's used to centers love and love's important role in pushing the needle forward and moving us towards equality. I would actually argue that the true root of what Dr. King was saying here was to emphasize the idea that light is the only way to drive out the darkness. So on this MLK Day, I think it's important to not only acknowledge the events of the year 2020 and the events within the first couple of days of the year 2021, but I think we must also sit in the illumination that those events provide. That exactly is the light, in my opinion. We have a long way to go, and I think that Dr. King would argue that we need to move past the lens of equality, equity, and inclusion, and imagine what true liberation means for all. And I am hopeful for how we imagine and how we actualize liberation. And I personally, as I know everyone on the call, is ready for what that road entails, and what my role, our students' roles, and our community's roles look like in paving what that road will be. And I'm going to pass it to Blaze.
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you, everyone, for inviting me to speak today. And I want to be really mindful of even getting to be in this space. I'm humbled to get to share this space with you. And I want to make sure that in the time that I take up here, in the space that I take up here, that I do my part to try to speak to the importance of this day and I think the road we have ahead of us. And so I think using my voice, I want to speak primarily to white folk and reflect on Dr. Martin Luther King, the statement around, his dream that he had. And I think I can speak for myself as a white person. I think it's so easy sometimes to focus on the dream of believing that we're close to the dream or that we're enacting the dream, that every day we're getting closer to the dream. And to me, looking back over the past year, I hope many white folk, and myself included, have come to the awareness that really what we've been living in is a bit of a nightmare. We've been lying to ourselves and saying that we're enacting this dream, but I think we see how much work there really is there. I think Black, Indigenous, folks of color have seen this all along. And so what I say to white folk, what I hold to myself every day, is to look at everything that's been going on throughout history, to look at everything that's been going on in the last year, to look at these inequities, to look at what we as white people are able to do, that we benefit from, that we get away with, and the different levels of accountability that are held, the levels of oppression that are systemic. And I call upon white folk to do our work together, to not pretend that this is a dream that we're moving closer to unless we work towards liberation ourselves, to understand that we have as much stake in this as anybody, even though I think much of the system benefits us. I do not think that we can reach any form of equity without all of us being liberated. And so we must work towards that and see that it is of mutual benefit to ourselves, as well as the work to remove the oppression towards Black, Indigenous people of color. This is not one group's work to be done, because I think it will set all of us free in ways that we do not even see. So wake up every day, look at what's really happening, look at what's out there, look within yourself, look at how we perpetuate that ourselves. Have those tough conversations with your loved ones, with your friends, with your family. I've heard so many people this year say, oh, this is the first time I've had a chance to really talk about this because it just doesn't come up. And I say, you have to make it come up. That's the work. And you have to figure out all the different ways that you're going to get involved. There are so many. Whether you are a fighter and a warrior, whether you are a healer and a nurturer, whether you're a great orator, or just somebody who can show up and cook, all of those are really important pieces to this. So let's join together and make that fight work. And let's face the nightmare that we're in first, before we can even talk about a dream. Thank you. Marcos. Marcos, I did pass it to you, and you may still be muted.
I was muted, my fault. First of all, I would like to say thank you for giving me the space you all here to speak a little bit about MLK and in his memory here, and how his work is relevant today, and so forth. And so with that, I want to bring forward this idea, the idea, right? We all know MLK and his dream that he had, right? And so I want to bring forward the idea, right, that there is and I forget, this is from a quote, and I forget who actually said this. So I know the last name is Morales, though, because I was like, oh, that's my last name. But this person really highlighted how within social transformative change that we're seeking currently in today's day, it is essential for us to live in the two worlds, right? Within our dream world, the dreams that we're holding, the dreams that MLK held, right? And then it's important to live one foot in the dream world and the other foot in reality, right? And keeping rooted in both of those, right? And I think, speaking to this dream world, one thing that I want to hold for this is this quote from an organization called Mi Gente, and it is, "We believe transformative change requires more from us, not just more of us," right? And I think that quote directly speaks to each of us individually in today's day, right? As we go out to do our work that has been given to us in this life, right? And specifically with the idea of transformative change, right? And so with that, I think, comes the work of holding space for each other to be accountable to each other, right? And to ourselves, right? I think this accountability piece is something huge that is really coming to the forefront of collectively currently, right? And so that is one thing that I would want to highlight in my time here. And so I will pass this now to Valerie.
Thank you, Marcos. In honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and to commemorate this special day, I reflect on his legacy. My vision is that there be peace for all humankind, that my 4 children will one day live in this nation with Dr. King's children, where, as he says, no one is judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Dr. King is quoted as saying that people fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they've not communicated with each other. I believe this. I also believe Dr. King when he says, and I'm paraphrasing here, that the ultimate measure of a person is not where they stand in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where they stand at times of challenge and controversy. So today on MLK Day, let's all ask ourselves, what are we doing for others? We must learn to get together. As Dr. King is quoted as saying, in the end, we'll remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. So let's do our part and commit to do the work that remains. Thank you. And I'm going to pass it to Tanya.
Hello. Dr. Martin Luther King. As this day approaches, this upcoming Monday, January 18th, it really causes me to pause and reflect. He was an amazing man. When I think about the courage that he had in the midst of continual opposition and knowing that there was always a threat to his life, that he still sacrificed for the greater good. Generations since his death have benefited from his work that he didn't get to see. I'm standing on his shoulders right now because of the work that he and so many other civil rights leaders and community activists have done. And I think there are aspects of the dream that he would be proud of. There's been a lot of accomplishments that Black and brown people have made in spite of all of the adversity that we faced. I think he would be proud of that. I think he would be proud of President Barack Obama. I think he would be proud of Kamala Harris. They are a part of that dream. However, there's still a lot of work to do. Systemic racism still exists. Disparities still exist. Discrimination still exists. There's still work to do. And I think 2020 brought a lot of that to the forefront. So people who may have turned a blind eye to it couldn't turn away because it was on TV and we were all stuck in our homes during the pandemic and we got to see it. We got to watch George Floyd's last breath and the injustice that took place nationally right in front of our eyes. So there's still work to do, but instead of being angry, instead of, having any hatred towards each other, I do agree that we need to strive to work together. We do need our white allies to speak up. When you see something, say something. They're expecting to hear it from us. But when they hear it from someone like them, it may resonate more. So we still have a lot of work to do. I just admire our future generations who have this fire and passion and drive to make a difference. And I think all of us have something to contribute to this cause. So thank you, Dr. King. And I pass it over to Marion.
Thank you, Tanya. So when I think about, is Dr. King satisfied if he's looking at what's taking place now? I have a couple of different answers. I will say yes at times. I imagine when we came together and did what Dr. King actually asked us to do, and there was lock arms and fight together for social justice, as many of us did during the Breonna Taylor case, which is still going on. I do think Dr. King was very, very proud of that. Where I think maybe not so much is that when we depart from those spaces, we tend to go right back to where we were. And so a lot of times we think about that dream and we're imagining it as a fantasy. Let's just all get along, right? Which is usually code for let's not talk about it, let's not acknowledge it, let's pretend that we're all the same color. Yeah, that's not what Dr. King was thinking. Dr. King also was not thinking a rest, a dream, or you're laying down, you're doing nothing, and you're just hoping that the world will change around you. Not what Dr. King was thinking. Dr. King was calling us to do something. So it wasn't just about locking arms and getting along and singing those songs. It was about working towards social justice. So in the Diversity and Equity Unit, we invite you to join us on a journey that we've all committed to being on daily, not just when somebody gets killed. We know that's going to keep happening, but every day we wake up, every single day, committed to creating a world that is more equitable, more inclusive, and more anti-racist. So there are some people in the world who don't have those spaces. They think they don't. Blaze has already told you, create the space, don't wait on it. But if you're watching this video, I'm going to tell you, you don't have that excuse because we have an entire unit that is designed to create those spaces, to support you in those spaces, to help educate you. So the charge we want to give you, this shouldn't just be a day off for you, because that's not what Dr. King thought about either. Dr. King didn't say, I want to be honored by letting everybody stay home and rest. Totally not a part of the dream. I hope you use this day to really educate yourself about Martin Luther King's work, not the little slither that you learned in K through 12, but the real dream that Dr. King talked about. More importantly, we encourage you to find your role in the work, because there's space for everybody. Absolutely. Cook, march, give, write policies, run for office, interrupt those racist family members at the dinner table the next time you're at home. Find out what your role is. And we really just want to invite you to join us in terms of getting in some good trouble. Join us. Because I will tell you, the byproduct is a much better world for us, and not just for us that are living here today, but our children and our grandchildren and all those people that Dr. King risked his life for daily, for us not to be where we are today. But we're here in very similar places because we're waiting on everybody else to do the work, or as you've heard, we're waiting on somebody else to create the space. The space is yours to create, and the work is yours to do. So our contact information will scroll across the screen. If you don't know how to get involved, if you need more education, that's what we're here for. So I do want to leave you again with the last line that you do not have an excuse. There is plenty of work to be done, and we are here to support you in that work. Thank you.